Hey everyone, Reaper here again with another video. This time I'd like to talk about some personal gems in my collection. Now, these books here they're nothing that you haven't seen before. And you've seen them in a bunch of videos, and I've given stories about them in all these different videos. So I thought I would make almost like a compilation of books that, not that other books in my collection are not meaningful, but the ones that I showcase in this video, and probably I'll make a few more of these, are some of the most meaningful whenever I think about comic book collecting. When I think about my collection, these are just some of the books that immediately pop into my mind, and I'll tell you why in short detail with some of them. So we're going to start off with this one. I have 3 copies of this book. My very first one, which was, I've showed that in another video. I don't remember which one. It's really bad shape. You have this one, which is a mid-grade copy, and I have my 8.0. Now, this one I chose in particular is because it has Neal Adams' signature on it. There you go. You can see the silver marker. I went to Zap Comics here in New Jersey. Everyone knows what Zap Comics is in this area. Went to Zap Comics. I heard that Neal Adams was going to be there signing, so I went there with a couple other books. I got a couple other books, but I had him sign this one. I had him sign this among others. I'd rather show this one. I had him sign this, and I finally got a chance to meet him. You know, he's been a favorite artist of mine for many, many years, and when the opportunity came to meet him, I took it without having to go to a convention and stand on long lines. There was a line in Zap Comics, but it was no big deal. It was inside the store. So it was a really good experience, and it was a few days before my son was born, so it only adds to it. But my experience with Neal Adams was good, and I'm glad it was good. And it makes that book, whenever I think about some of the 60s X-Men books I have, even more memorable. More than the very first copy I bought. And oddly enough, the 8.0 copy of that book, I got at Zap Comics. I didn't have him sign that one, though. Okay. Why is Daredevil 131 a book that you think about when it comes to collecting? Well, like I said, I might have mentioned this in an older video. I don't remember which one. It's meaningful to me because this was the book that sort of sparked my interest in coming back to the hobby back in 2013. I know, it sounds weird. Why? Well, I remember when I first started collecting, many years ago, I've always wanted to get the first appearance of Bullseye. And I decided to go to my very first con, big con, after many, many, many years of staying away from the hobby. And I said, well, I was so overwhelmed, right? So overwhelmed with what I could buy. I'm saying to myself, well, I wanted to get something, start off slowly. What could I get? And this book kept coming up in my head. Pick up where you left off. You wanted to get Bullseye around the time you left the hobby, so see if you can try to get it. Although I didn't get it at that con, I got it very shortly after. But that's why this is important, because this was almost like a way for me to come back to the hobby through this book. It was this book that started sparking that interest in me returning. Oddly enough, right? I mean, we all have goals. Sometimes these goals go unfinished. And I think my unfinished goal of getting the first appearance of Bullseye helped me come back to the hobby, among other things, too. Now, here we have another Daredevil. This is the first Frank Miller, when he started writing for Daredevil. Is this issue important to me? No. When I think about comic book collecting, I don't think of Daredevil 50. I'm not dissing this book, but the reason why is because it has Frank Miller's autograph on the inside. That's why I think about this book. Like I said with Neal Adams, I like Neal Adams' artwork, but I also enjoyed Frank Miller's writing. So to have his autograph, I didn't get a chance to meet him, but just to have his autograph is meaningful, and that's why that book is in this video. Superboy 68, right? I always get them confused. I always think it's 60Boy 66. 60Boy 60, Superboy 68, first appearance of Bizarro. Why is this important? Because I love the cover. I've been enamored with this cover for decades, ever since I started collecting. And when I actually brought this book in, it's a low-grade copy. Eventually, it's going to be upgraded, but it's a low-grade copy. When I eventually brought it into my collection, it was kind of surreal. You know, I've seen this in the I think in '94, '95, whatever it was. Wizard magazine put out something called the Dark Book. You know, with the art where they had Carnage on the cover, and I picked it up, and this was one of the books that was showcased in that issue. And I've just been so enamored with this cover. I think Bizarro looks really, really creepy. And when I finally brought it home, many, many, many years later, it was a surreal experience, and it's something that I'm proud I have in my collection. All right. We still have a few more. Incredible Hulk 181. This book is meaningful to me because it's always been meaningful to me. Now, this is not my original copy. Those that watch my previous videos know this is an upgrade from my other copy. You know the story with the other copy. I'm not going to get into it. But it's been a meaningful book for me in my collection for many, many years. Just as some people, new collectors or whatever, they finally able to add Incredible Hulk 181 to their collection. Forget about the debate on what's a true first appearance. It's not important, but they want this issue. And they're finally able to do it, and they think it's like one of the greatest highlights of their collecting. And, I felt that way too, but 30 years ago when I first got it, because it's always been in my collection. A copy of it has always been in my collection. But I haven't forgotten how important it is to me. How when I first got that original copy, despite its flaws, wow, this is so cool. I have the first appearance of Wolverine, and I was able to upgrade it. It's only a 6.0, but, at the time when I upgraded this, I should have gotten an 8, because it would have been it was more affordable back then, but I was like, maybe not. I should have done that back then, because now 8 is out of the question, but I'm happy with this. But it's, it's a meaningful book, and it's definitely, whenever I think about my collection, I think of Incredible Hulk 181, Wolverine. How could you not? I think of 182 and 182, but all important. But that one has been always a little more important for me, because Wolverine's in it throughout the whole book. He makes his first appearance, I guess, in 180, last page. But, he says one little thing, and then it's off to the races with this one. It's more memorable. Now, remember when I said when I first came back to the hobby, I wanted to get the first appearance of Bullseye, but you know what number 2 was? This. Interesting story about this. Not this particular copy, but this book. I've always wanted this one because I was a big X-Men fan. I had Giant Size, I had the Hulk 181, but this was the one that brought them to the series for the first time, the new X-Men. The series started up again with number 94, this one. In 2001, when I first discovered that comics could be bought off of eBay, just for me, you could buy comics on eBay, I think, since its inception. But I didn't start looking for comics until 2001. I won a copy of this. Now, I don't know what grade it was. I just wound up not paying for it, and I got kicked off of eBay, and I had to create a new handle, which I have to this very day. I've been a member of eBay since, or at least this particular eBay handle, since 2002. But I got kicked off, and then I signed up again in 2002. But the reason why I got kicked off, long story short, too late, was because I didn't pay for the copy that I won. That's one of the things I think about when it comes to this book. But more importantly, that I've always wanted to add this book to my collection because of what it is. It's the first time the new X-Men are in the series. The series was in reprints for 5 years, and then it was brought back to life by Chris Claremont. And it started with Giant Size X-Men number 1, and it continued with X-Men 94. When I first started collecting, I've always wanted this one. I wound up getting X-Men number 3, but I really wanted X-Men number 4. But X-Men number 4 was a little more expensive. And if I remember when I ordered on A Million Comics, that's where I got my original X-Men 3, and I was going to get this there too. I think it was a little bit more, and it was sold out. And that was the end of that. And I was unable to get it afterwards. But this was something that I really, really wanted because it had a lot of firsts in it. It had the first appearance of the Scarlet Witch, which I think is the reason why this book is really, really valuable now. It's valuable for many reasons. But the Scarlet Witch, certainly, with her popularity in the Avengers and all that stuff, has made it hotter. But I wanted it because it was her first appearance. I wanted it because it was the first appearance of Quicksilver, who's just sort of standing there. not really doing anything like all the other characters. First appearance of Toad, first appearance of Mastermind, and the second appearance of Magneto. It's definitely a great book to have if you're an X-Men fan, which I originally was, and then I still am. And then I became a Spider-Man fan and all of that. And another book I was enamored with, but it was more expensive, and I just couldn't get it when I first started collecting, was this X-Men #2. I've always loved this cover, always. It was just such a great cover. I thought. I mean, some of you are like, what? But it was meaningful to me. And, you know, whenever I think of collecting, I think about this one. And when I finally was able to bring it into my collection, I'm like, wow, I got X-Men #2. But that could only be topped by getting X-Men #1. Look, anybody that collects X-Men books, who's a big X-Men fan, you like all the X-Men, you like Wolverine, you like Storm, you like Cyclops, you like them all. Maybe some more than others. I think if you're that type of fan, you definitely would like to have an X-Men #1. Now, whether or not you have it or can get it, that's another story, but I'm pretty sure that you would like to have one. I had a coverless copy of this, and the back and one page in the back was missing for many, many years. So when I was able to upgrade, now this is actually my third copy, okay? I upgraded to another 3.0. I told you that story in a previous video. I don't remember which one. And then I sold it, and then I was able to get this 3.0 that looks much nicer than my original one. But when I was able to upgrade it, it was just unbelievable that I actually have X-Men #1 in my collection. And if you have that feeling about a comic that you're just so happy to have in your collection, one of those things that you constantly take out of the box or you have displayed and you're always looking at it, then you know that is a meaningful item in your collection. And that's why I close this video with that book. Thank you.